This is the Art 1 video for learning to draw, and specifically the activity for scaling up Art Hornet drawing activity. All right, so here is a picture of the Nashville Hornet with a art theme added to it. So this is a design that I just recently created and kind of thinking of this assignment. If I had to recreate this, which many of you will be in this position where you may have a picture of something or you're trying to draw something and you're probably wondering, where do I start? So like I've said before, drawing is just a series of lines and shapes. Now when you see a grid dividing it up, this can be really helpful for, as far as placement, proportions. You can see the image is it's twice as big as far as what we're going to draw in the next box. So thinking about proportions, how do you recreate that here, but on a twice as large scale? For some of you, you may want to study the lines and, just kind of go box by box. That's a good way to go too. But what happens if you spend all this time getting all these perfect details there and then only to find out it's not the size that it needs to be, especially because we're going twice as large. So instead, before you start studying every single line and angle, you kind of want to map out where things are going to go. And this is where identifying shapes or thinking of it as on a shape level is really helpful. So for example, thinking, dividing it up into sections, trying not to focus that, I put it upside down so you're not so focused on the picture, but just the shapes and the line qualities. So seeing kind of like an oval here, ovals, a lot of ovals. Thinking about the angles as far as maybe some triangulation to help you map it out. So for example, if I wanted to start thinking of the shapes that I see and the angles, if you notice from this to this, we're seeing kind of that triangle here. So that may help as well to increase the proportion. This corner to corner. And that way you kind of get an idea of where things are going to be placed, especially when you're changing the proportion. So it not only becomes, studying the degree of curve, the heaviness of the lines, but really enlarging it to be accurate. And then those shapes that I talked about. So thinking, hey, there's going to be an oval here. And I'm doing this really light. This is kind of more of what they call like a gesture sketch. So I'm just really just marking places where it's going to be. Here's a shape here. Thinking of a series of circles. Already, I need to bring it out further. Notice where this line is. It's a little beret here. But don't think about the shape. Or I'm sorry, don't think about the overall picture and what it is. Think about the shapes. The body. I know it's covered up by the fabric, but just thinking, hey, we didn't have that smock. The body of the hornet be kind of an oval circular form. What about this triangle? And then later, once I get everything mapped out, that's where those details start to come in, and this will help you draw a lot faster and more accurate. Already I can tell this circle needs to come out further, because like I said, if you spend all this time just trying to recreate the lines, which will take a while, only to find out it's not proportioned correctly, it's going to go a lot slower. And you're going to have to do a lot more erasing. And this helps you get to kind of know the form that you're working with. And I'm drawing this, I know it looks a little messy, but I'm not going to keep all these lines. This is just showing how my pencil and my brain are kind of working together to recreate this shape. Palette, another series of ovals. Now I know, based on what I gave you guys yesterday, to prepare you for this assignment, I gave you a piece of paper with a different image. And if that's the case, use your computer, your Chromebook, to look at the picture and then to draw it in front of you. Or maybe you work on an easel and it's up next to it. Wings. Another series of circles. Circles. Arm. Hand. All right, so I have everything kind of lightly sketched out. Almost, let me get my eye in there, looking at the space. Triangle. And kind of the angle, if I look at where it's going to end up. Checking the angles. Okay, now I get to spend a little more time working with the line work now that I've spent some time with the shapes. So here, this is where you can go back in, and with a heavier line, remember when I talked about being kind of light with the pencil, now I can go back in, now that I know my proportions are accurate, now I can spend a little more time getting those lines a little more accurate. It's a lovely sound. Making magic. Yes, I made this video right before school was starting. I had to come in a little earlier and didn't happen. Some students are probably going to be coming in any minute. So let's just say I focus on this area for demonstration purposes. Then I can go back lightly with my eraser and just lightly go over it. And then those really faint lines, those little faint lines are going to just kind of disappear. And I'll keep the permanent lines that I want to keep. All right, so hopefully this is enough instruction to get your project going. And I look forward to seeing how you did.